Okay, there's continued interest in speaking with me via Discord. You can join the Discord. I think we've got, 12,000 of our viewers on our Discord server, davidpakman.com/Discord. The waiting lobby is the place to go if you would like to talk to me. Let's go next to Magnus from Scotland. Magnus, you are on the air. Magnus, if you unmute yourself, we will all be able to hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
I don't really have a question about the US at the moment, but Scotland has our national elections coming up in a couple of months.
Right.
And I wondered if you had any thoughts on that. I'm not expecting you to, but just in case you did.
You know, I'm not informed enough to be able to comment, unfortunately.
Okay, well, that's all I've got. Thanks.
Well, what's going on vaccination-wise in Scotland?
We're doing it differently to England, and I think we got our care home and that lot of people done earlier than England. I think we're about level at the moment, though.
Mm-hmm.
I think 60-year-olds are being done at the moment.
When are you expecting to be able to get vaccinated?
2-3 months. I'm in the last group to be done, so
Fair.
I've not looked into it.
And then how about as far as like, in the US, a big thing has been, for example, to support the restaurant industry by getting takeout, or maybe you call it takeaway in Scotland. Is this something that people are doing to rally behind restaurants in Edinburgh?
I've not been doing it. I've been cooking my own stuff.
Fair.
That's just because I like cooking.
That's fair. All right. Very good. Okay. Magnus, thank you so much for the call. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
All right. Magnus checking in from Scotland. Very important. Let's go next to Varun from New Delhi. Varun, you were on the air.
Oh, hey, David.
How are you?
Well, how are you?
I'm doing well.
Okay. I just had a simple question. Barring for the moment that the minimum wage increase isn't going to be passed, that, it's been removed from the relief bill.
Yes.
I mean, it was removed from the relief bill. If it had been passed and you eventually got to a $15 minimum wage, how would that affect, the minimum wage recipients' functional liquidity? Because if that elevates them beyond the qualification threshold, like the minimum for, I guess broadly welfare benefits, so, SNAP benefits and, low-income housing, that sort of thing. I mean, basically all their money is just going to go back into that stuff. So you argue in favor of demand-side stimulus, but, how does that work out? Does it have to be accompanied with other, sort of policies that, raise the, the income threshold to qualify for these things?
So this is a great question. And the crux of the question is, if you make $9 an hour, but in addition, you qualify for certain welfare benefits, and then you have some total income for the year, which is your $9 an hour job, plus maybe, $180 a month in food stamps, you add it all together. And then you say, okay, we're going to give you $15 an hour. But as a result of that, you will exceed the income threshold for some of these benefits. Do you really come out ahead? That's the crux of your question, right?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. It's a very fair question. The answer is it depends significantly on what's going on at the state level in many, which is different for many people. But you have to account for a couple of different things. One is a $15 minimum wage, for example, like Alabama has no state minimum wage. So in Alabama, or maybe it's Mississippi, maybe it's both. The minimum wage in some of these states is the federal, which is $7.25. So 15 is more than doubling. The impact there on eligibility for programs is going to be very different than in a state that already has an $11 minimum wage and it goes to 15. And that's going to vary state by state. You also have to remember that a lot of people who qualify for benefits don't actually go through the process of getting them because they either don't know that the benefits are available, or the system is cumbersome or complicated, or whatever the case may be. So while there's no question that there are some people who will get a raise from a minimum wage increase and they'll lose something on the welfare side, When you account for the difference in money in the pocket versus a housing subsidy, money in the pocket versus food stamps, people who don't understand or avail themselves of these systems, the net benefit is still significant, but that doesn't mean what you're saying doesn't exist. And I think it's important to consider it.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
All right, no problem. These are like problems to solve rather than reasons not to increase the minimum wage. If the minimum wage should be higher on an inflation adjusted, productivity adjusted, whatever basis, you do it and then you figure out how to solve that problem, as an example that Varun brought up. One of our sponsors is privacy.com. They're giving you $5 when you sign up for their completely free service at privacy.com/Pakman. I've been using Privacy for a little over a year now. You've heard me talk about it before. It's a lifesaver, and here's how it works. Takes just a couple of minutes to set up. Anytime you buy something online or on the phone, instead of actually using your real credit card number, the Privacy app and the browser plugin let you give each company a randomized virtual credit card number that you create out of thin air. It'll even autofill the card number with one click. And the payment is taken out of your checking account without the merchant ever knowing your real information. So this allows you to keep your banking information secure, but also to take control of your finances. You can create up to 12 of these virtual credit cards a month. You can set spending limits. You can freeze them. You can delete them anytime you want. So when you do this, it means you're not going to be charged when you don't want to be, because you can destroy the virtual card number right after using it, which, for instance, I love using free trials because I know I won't be charged when the trial is over if I use a virtual credit card number. You're keeping your identity private by not telling companies who you are. You're keeping your bank or credit card info protected against data breaches and identity theft. And it's free. And like I said, you'll get $5 to spend when you sign up at privacy.com/Pakman.